Hi, I'm here today with the Fable by Walrus Audio. And what is the Fable? Well, it's a granular delay, and I love granular delays, such as the Red Panda Particle 2. I should really do a full video on the Particle 2, and I will most certainly do one after this. I might even do a comparison between the Fable and the Red Panda Particle 2, but yeah, it's a granular delay. It takes whatever you're putting into it, puts it into chunks, and then manipulates those chunks, and it sounds cool. It's great for ambient stuff. But let's get into it. So, disclaimer, I did buy the Fable with my own money. It is a good pedal for so far. I'll just give you that spoiler out front. I have a video already where I do a little song with it, and I've been playing with it since I've gotten it, and it's really fun and really useful so far. Well, let's get into it. Mode 1 is just a reverse delay into a reverse granular, so it's reversing the reverse. It's kind of cool. We'll get into the controls. So it's pretty straightforward, which is what I like about it compared to like the Particle 2, which has a lot of secondary functions, and a lot of the other controls are easier to get to a web editor. Well, this doesn't have a web editor. It's what you see what you get, except for one control, and that's modulation. We'll get into that soon. So you can see what I have it set to here, and let's listen to the dry. It's just a sawtooth. I will have timestamps below in chapters, so you can go to where you want to. So yeah, that's what we're going to be messing with. I'm going to use this patch for the entire video. It'll just make it easier to tell what this thing is doing, something simple into it. So pretty cool, isn't it? All right, let's get into the X control. So the X control is how many granules you have. To the left, it's the least amount, and to the right, it is the most amount. So lots of granules. And to the left, the least amount. So it's a lot smoother. More predictable almost even. And then we have time, and time is how big the buffer overall is. So if I make the buffer really small. Now we have a small amount of granules for a smaller time. But if I do this now, you'll see. And then just like any other delays, well, at least good ones, you have feedback. But you have feedback of both DSPs. There's two DSPs in here. This runs on two bin semiconductor FV1s, and you have two feedbacks. So a feedback is the feedback of the first DSP, and the regen is the feedback of the second DSP, I believe. But yeah, so I can turn up this. It will go into over unity and get a little crazy, so I'm keeping it before it does that. And then, so I believe in this one, the regen controls the reverse granular portion of the feedback. It's going to be a nice long just decay loop in that. So this will be great to illustrate how modulation works on this. I had the modulation off. I think the modulation on this thing sounds absolutely stunning. And it's a little more complicated than you think on the face value. You have a mod control, but let's just turn that on. We're going to turn it all the way up. Yeah, it's a little unwieldy in the highest setting. But yeah, what if you want to control the speed of that? Well, you absolutely can. The LFO of the modulation can be controlled by just holding down bypass. You'll see this start to blink, and it's actually blinking in time with how fast the modulation is. Now you just use the mod control, and like here, now it's all the way up. See how it's blinking fast? Yeah. So that's really nice attention to detail by the UI team. But yeah, I keep it around here, and then I keep the modulation depth around here. And we'll keep it there for the rest of the video, because I think that's really where it shines for the modulation. Alright, and we're going to turn down the feedbacks just a bit here. Well, a lot, and that is reverse into reverse granular, and it sounds pretty cool, but that's not what really sold me on this pedal. What really sold me on it was the pitch shifting, which isn't bad at all. So the first one is it's a standard delay into an octave up granular, so there's octave pitch shifting up added to the granular portion of it. I'm going to turn up the regen, so just the pitch shifted portion is going to be fed back a little more. And now what we can do with that'll make it nice, is we can illustrate the tone control. So the tone control has low pass filtering to the left, high pass filtering to the right. There's a bit of a resonant peak in it. Sounds nice. I will stop talking and you'll hear the resonance in a sec here. You should be able to hear that resonant peak. So it's actually nice. I wish you had some control over that, if you could change if it's more resonant or not by a secondary control and bypass, but it is what it is. And to the right, it's high pass filtered. It makes it really bright. I keep it around here for most of the time. And then we're going to go into algorithm 3, which is an analog style delay that goes into an octave down granular. This is one of my favorites. It sounds really great. This is sometimes where I'll low pass. This is good for higher octaves. So what we'll do is we'll come back to that when I use the blue sky that's over here to smooth it all out, and it'll sound really cool. All right, well, let's go back here to the tone control. Let's go to the fourth algorithm. I'm not going to lie, the fourth algorithm is probably my least favorite because it's kind of a reverby algorithm, and since this thing is mono through, in and out, I don't really like mono reverbs all that much. It sounds good in the context of maybe a guitar amp or something like that, but in the case where I'm direct recording a synth through it, I just don't like it all that much. I mean, it's... But yeah, it's basically just a granular into a granular. So it's a multi-tap granular into a multi-tap granular. So it kind of does like what the cloud algorithm does from Strymon, but no stereo spread. Still has modulation. Yeah, it's not bad. Not my thing. Not why I got this pedal. All right, so now we're going to go into forward delay into randomized pitch granular, which is my favorite algorithm. This is like my favorite algorithm. It's great. But they do sound like octave jumps, which is great because something like the Red Panda Particle version 2, the randomness can go into territories where it's not direct octaves or fifths, so it can sound really weird. And this, it's octave jumps. And that is by far my favorite algorithm. That's where I keep this, and we're going to turn the time all the way up. absolutely gorgeous. Imagine sticking a really harsh, just lovely wavetable into it, or like an FM sound, like an FM bell into it. It'll sound just insane. I don't have an FM bell on this, obviously, but you can hear the modulation kicking in that too. And that is just amazing. We'll go back to my sawtooth. And now we're going to add the blue sky here. And the blue sky, I'm just using because it has like your standard simple algorithms like room, plate, and spring. I'm not going to use any shimmer on it, obviously. There's no reason for it. No pre-delay on this. And let's listen to what it sounds like without. Not too long of a decay, but long enough. Maybe we should have a little pre-delay. Yeah, you know what? Oh, we'll go with that. Now let's add the Fable into this. What I'm doing this for is illustrating what it sounds like with a reverb at the end of the chain, even a simplistic reverb. I do have some light modulation on the blue sky, but you heard what it sounds like by itself. So now let's add the random pitch. That is amazing. We'll go to my other favorite, which is the octave down analog style. Low pass filter that. Let's go back to that awesome randomized pitching algorithm. Make it a little brighter there. Maybe add a little more modulation to it. Just a tad bit more. Add a lot of feedback. Too much mod, but let's go back to my bell-like algorithm, I guess. I don't know if it's really a bell, but it sounds good. Let's bring the volume down. It's a little loud. Without the reverb. Still sounds wonderful, but with that reverb, it just smooths it out. Let's add a little more grains. Yeah, so that's the Fable by Walrus Audio, and I really, really enjoy it. it is definitely a keeper for me since I like granular delay. I might do a shootout against the Particle version 2. I think this, I don't think one's better than the other. The Particle 2 is definitely more complex in what you can do with it, but you need the editor to do a lot of the functionality unless you can really remember a lot of functions to it. And it's harder to get great sounds out of it. The Fable's super easy to get great sounds out of, and it just does its thing really well. The Particle version 2 is stereo, and they have added stereo spread modes into it just as of a recent firmware update. And the Particle version 2 is firmware updatable, where unfortunately the Fable is not. There's no USB port. There's not even a control or MIDI port, so you're basically stuck with it just being a pedal like this, which is nice in some cases because it does sound good right out of the box without very much tweaking. I wish it had some kind of an expression in even, because then maybe you could CV control some of the parameters. CV controlling like the buffer size, or not the buffer size, but the grains would be pretty cool. That said, it's still a wonderful pedal. There's one thing I forgot to add. In a lot of the algorithms, tap, if you hold it down, it slows down the clock. I should have said that earlier, but that's really cool. Again, that'd be cool if you had some kind of MIDI functionality to it and you could control that on an external LFO or something. But it is what it is. So no MIDI functionality, no stereo. It does require 300 milliamps of power too, which is a little on the high side if you're using this in a pedal board, but most of the people that watch my channel don't do it for pedal board stuff. So yeah, it is what it is. It's great. I just really like it. I will say, and I really like the artwork. I like the Lore's artwork a lot more because I like fairies, but this has like a little fairy on it. But I wish this was just another fairy like on the front of it as compared to the Lore, so it could be like twin pedals or something like that. Yeah, that's just a little nitpick on the art. I do like the art. It's really cool. It's probably one of the coolest looking pedals that I own. It's not, in my opinion, it doesn't look stupid like some pedals out there that have just over the top or just tacky art. So it's an aesthetic thing, but still cool. So yeah, if you want a granular delay and you really don't want to work at it where you would have to on the Particle to make that sound absolutely fantastic, then this is an easy way to get into granular delay. And yeah, thanks for watching.